Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Friday Openings Night. Um, yeah, we've been having some interesting Friday openings nights, and if this is your first time tuning in, you are more than welcome to ask me any questions related to openings. The more specific you are, the more specific we can get. I've done some broad overviews of openings and so on. But like I said, if you want to even type in some texts or notations in the chat box, feel free to do so. That will be quite useful. Then I can make the moves on the board. And yeah, if you can't seem to be, if you are new to the channel and you can't seem to be um, typing anything in the chat box, just make sure to press the follow button. If you can't press the follow button, make sure that you have signed up to Twitch. It's for free, absolutely for free. Just go to the homepage and to fill in some short few things, and come back to my channel and press the follow button. I think it's a purple art or something. Um, yeah, yeah, we've like I said, I had some interesting opening nights, and I've got my own topic that I will discuss if there's no questions. But feel free to throw in the questions immediately. I left the CKC Leeches team link in the chat box as well, so it will be very useful for you to join the team for future tournaments and so on. Most of the times, even at during challenge day, when you get to challenge me, which is Sundays, then I would like you to join the team first before you actually challenge me. Yeah, lots and lots, and there's going to be lots of fun tournaments to come. We've had our first CKC Arena tournament last Saturday. This Saturday we're going to take it slightly easy, so no tournaments coming this Saturday because I think there's a lot of stuff happening in any event. Um, so I think probably the following weekend, even though I think I've got something else also. I've got another tournament I'm streaming next weekend, Saturday, but I might do something in the morning and so on. Yeah, and then plus if you join the CKC Leeches team, then you get notifications as well, and you get to not miss out um, on these things. Yeah, uh, yeah, and then talking about tomorrow Saturday, we've got a very special Women's Day or Women's Month celebration with a show called The Queen Side, and our special host for tomorrow will be Robin van die Kerk. She's been always working hard behind the scenes and so on for the channel. Um, Most of you, if you know me, then you will know Robin, and yeah, she will be interviewing a multiple SA ladies champion, and this lady's got so much experience, and she's done so much in chess already, and she's a women's international master, Denise Boa. So as you can see, I've typed it out there for you if you're trying to double check what's happening. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun, and of course, Denise will be talking about her book as well, and then afterwards she'll be showing us a nice game of hers. So I think there's a bit of everything in tomorrow's show. So make sure you set your alarm. Don't oversleep. Um, get everything ready for 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And just to show you guys what I'm talking about, we've released the ad as well. And there we have it. So CKC presents the Queen side. So I know a lot of people love the activity on the king side, going for the king, but tomorrow is all about the queen. So this is the queen side. And yeah, looking forward to this. So any questions on openings? Is anybody there? Any opening questions? Please feel free to ask me. Right. So before I get started with my opening, I'm first quickly gonna check on our group. So let us go to display and let me go to Lichess. Okay. Welcome, Isvan. You are quite early because you're the first one that said anything in the chat. So welcome to the show. So not late at all. Um, I don't know if you saw the ad of the Queenside I just showed. Tomorrow morning we'll have a show. Um, the Queenside with interview by Robin. She'll be interviewing WIM Denise Boa. I'll display the ad a bit later again if you didn't see it. So yeah, let's quickly go to the CKC team. And if you do have any opening questions, feel free to check it out. Okay, Isvan. So it's 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let me just show you it again. So there we have it. The CKC. Well, thank you for following Jean Pierre. Welcome to the show. So there we have it. CKC presents the Queenside tomorrow morning 10 a.m. and Robin van Niekerk is our special host. She will be hosting the show, and she is also and she will be interviewing our special guest WIM Denise Boa. So Denise will be talking about chess, women's chess as well, and her book, and she will actually also show a game afterwards. So lots and lots of fun tomorrow morning. And yeah, JP, welcome to see. Good to see you on the. Good to see you on the show. Let's actually get the display over there. Um, yeah, so let's get to the team. Um, let's get to the team and just check out who is online and so on. Let's go and find a random customer. GM Master Assassin from India. We've got a GM in the house. He's not playing right now. GM Duel Master, is he playing? Let's quickly go check out what he's up to. Last time I think we also found him in some arena. So yeah, he's playing in a communal chess competition. And he's playing at 1900 right now. So what's the situation like? He's an exchange down. He might be in trouble. Why he offered a draw and his opponent said no. And it seems like the GM is in trouble. Yeah, I don't know if he's playing a summel or what is he doing, but he's in trouble. If it was his move, he's got a mate into checkmate with a spin down there. But okay, White will probably give a check. He'll run, and the GM might be in trouble over there. Okay, so oh yeah, JP, this is the Friday openings night. So if there's any questions, and this is for everybody out there, if there's any opening questions, we're gonna start soon with the discussion on openings. Anything related to openings, you're more than welcome to ask me. And if you even want to throw some notation down and specific moves, then we can have a look at it. Okay, so let's get out of this one here. The GM is suffering a bit over there. Everybody has an off day, but you never know. You know the GMs always find a way to get a result. Let's quickly look. Gladiator, who's Gladiator? He's not playing right now. McGlory, is McGlory playing? Let's check out McGlory. So McGlory is playing in the JNW Friday Blitz Arena. Ooh, things are looking juicy here for McGlory. Lovely sack. And if pawn takes, then the rook takes will be close to mate. The rook will go to g7 check as well, and the queen is going to drop. Or even queen takes. Queen takes is even better. And then rook h3 with mate coming up. And McGlory is taking all the glory. Nice finish there by McGlory. Well done. Okay, so let's have a look at one last one. I'm waiting for the questions to get lined up, guys. Otherwise, I'm going to start with my own opening. Last time we had lots and lots of questions, so we didn't have time for everything. So if you had a question that I didn't answer, then feel free to ask me again now. Stella Fairy Star. Let's check out Stella Fairy Star. Also playing. Looks like everybody's playing tournaments. Nowadays, you can't organize a tournament without clashing with something, so it's difficult. There's lots and lots of activity. Stella seems to be doing okay, but there's a pin on the knight now. The knight can't freely move. There's no useful knight check. There's check, but bishop takes, and then what? Are we going to play bishop takes check over there? Ah, but still, that was an extra piece, so I think Stella is doing good. Maybe bishop takes d6 was better initially. Because now pawn takes is off. Oh no, rook takes. The bishop drops. Okay, Stella comes through there. Looks like the CKC team members are doing good. But okay, let's get down to business over here. And I see Eddie saying in the chat here in the group that Calvin, please host a Blitz Swiss tournament or Rapid. Yeah, that's actually the next thing I'm planning, guys. So watch the space. Make sure that you're in the CKC team because I will be announcing it in there as well. So the next tournament will probably be a Swiss event. Ah, okay. I think I saw some advertisement on that, is one. How did the tournament go? Did you play in that one? Did you qualify to play or are you above 2000? Yeah, no, I think Swiss is my preferred choice over there, but I think Arena was just to get everybody involved. So the Swiss one will be next. So yeah. Okay, Isvan, did you play in that tournament? How did it go? Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get going with my opening, guys. And let's get some music going as well. Okay, so it's better late than never, so I hope you got in a few nice games over there. Okay, so let's see. So what do I have in mind? What I wanted to talk about last week, I didn't get a chance to because of there was simply just so many openings questions. But one of my favorite openings is the Rai Lopez against E5. So I can talk about this for hours and hours. So we can discuss this. But I will just remind everybody out there that this is an open openings night. So feel free to ask questions, and we can put the openings, my opening, to the side for now. So let's see. So Rai Lopez starts with knight c6 and then bishop b5. And I believe that Rai Lopez, the name comes from, they say it's from a Spanish priest that played it long time ago. I don't know, is it 200 years ago or something like that? Maybe more than 200 years. So and that's why they also call it the Spanish torture. So the Rai Lopez is also hi Meg, welcome to the show. I see Earl says it's his favorite opening. Yes, I think Rai Lopez is probably in my top 3 as well of favorite openings. So very popular, super popular. I think it's probably the most popular at the highest level as well. So yeah, I think the reason why they also call it the Spanish torture is because you keep so many pieces on the board, and the Rai Lopez is actually not the fastest opening. It doesn't immediately go for your throat, so it's a lot of building up, and some cases, in a lot of cases in the middle game, you still have everything on the board. So let's have a look. A6 is actually the main line. If you're seeing this for the first time, you might be wondering, why are we playing A6 if it seems like that's the threat? So seems like white wants to capture the knight and win the pawn. So why is black playing a6? Of course, a6 is not the only move. Black can also play knight f6. Black can play d6. Let's say black goes with a more naive d6, even though d6 is very much playable. If you're not familiar at all with the opening, then maybe white can take advantage of that and go d4 and get a type of a pleasant position where there's already a pin on the knight, and after you capture, then knight takes, and there's some unpleasantness on the knight. Of course, black can go bishop d7, you can play bishop takes or knight takes, something like this. And yeah, these double pawns are a bit chunky and a bit less flexible, I would think. And of course, black has less space. You can even play queen takes here, that's also possible. So usually, and of course, knight f6 is also a good alternative. That also became popular at the highest level with the Berlin defense. Hi King Ulster, welcome to the show. Yeah, I don't know if that's the correct word. Like I said, it's only if you don't know the opening, because I mean, you get the Steinitz, and the Steinitz deferred where you actually play d6. So yeah, knight f6, and this is usually what they try for the Berlin, but we will have a look at that again. That's a whole nother chapter. So of course, let's go back to a6, and what's the point? So okay, main line is bishop a4, and that is probably what I'll be discussing mainly here. But bishop a6 is also possible. You get some strong players that have played this, so it's definitely still playable. Most famous player I think that has used this is and so Ray Lopez exchanged, of course, is Bobby Fischer. You can actually find some Bobby Fischer games in this. I don't know how many though, because I remember him playing it against Boris Spassky, but that was in like the revenge match. But I don't know how many games he played when he was young in this. But there's a lot of sense in this. It's a lot of sense in this line. Only bad side of it, of course, is you're giving up your bishop for a knight very early. So you might also know, if you've played chess for a while, that one should try to keep your bishops as long as you can, in general terms, because the bishops can be quite powerful later on in the game. The bishop pair, if you have both bishops, the longer the game continues, the more pawns you probably swap off, and the more open the position gets, and that's where the bishops thrive. Of course, not all games become open, but you kind of take away that possibility if you give up your bishop early. But here's a direct idea by white. So I think d takes is the main move, and of course white doesn't win the pawn, and that's the whole point why white doesn't capture. Black has two good moves here. One is queen d4, just double attacking both hanging pieces. Black will get his pawn back, and then he has the bishop pair. Of course, black has these double pawns, but he's got the bishop pair. That's his advantage he has. Or black can even play queen g5 and knock these two guys. If you're struggling with tactics, then I would suggest that that's one of my key pointers for you out there. Always look for hanging pieces, stuff that are not protected. That knight is not protected, the pawn is not protected, that pawn is not protected in this position. And if you can find a move where you attack two things at the same time, usually it's called a nice tactic. So yeah, so that's why white doesn't capture over there. Aha, thanks for the interesting fact over there. Is one 11 games of Bobby Fischer with exchange variation. Fischer won 8 and rest were drawn. Wow, that's a very, very nice result there. Maybe I should go through all 11. Might convince me to play this. And like I said, it has been played by a lot of top people. I think I saw Wang Hao, strong Chinese grandmaster, also playing it a couple of times. And even locally, yeah, I think I've seen Watu also whip it out a couple of times, the exchange variation. So, or is that with black? Maybe he plays it for black. I'm not sure. Maybe I might be wrong. I've seen him playing it with the black pieces. But anyway, um, and Earl is saying bishop c4 slightly better than bishop a4 in the main line. Where do you mean bishop c4? You mean instead of bishop b5? Because then there's a completely different opening. Bishop c4 is of course the Italian opening. But yeah, thanks for the nice stats over there, Isvan. That was quite a nice one. I'll actually check it out. So yeah, what's the whole point of this Ruy Lopez exchange variation? Why would you play it for white? Well, Bobby, I think, played d4 immediately in some games. And after pawn takes pawn, something like is it knight takes or queen takes? Probably queen takes, something like this. And there were some games in this, but then afterwards they realized that maybe castling is even better. I think castling is the main line, and depending on what black does, white can continue with d4, or white can even build up with c3 and d4. So there's some interesting lines here. White can even play d3 and keep the position kind of closed, semi-closed, playing against those bishops. So lots and lots of ideas. But just to show you this old line, the idea basically, if I can paint a picture for you guys here, is very deep and long term. So what is white looking for in this position? Maybe I should ask the viewers this first. Can anybody tell me? Okay, I'm gonna say that black has this advantage. Black has the bishop pair. So black has that going for him. That's good for him. But he's got this double pawns that might be a downside to it. So what does white have going for him? Why did white give up his bishop and go willingly into an endgame? Can anybody give me the strategical background or motivation behind this line? Yeah, so I'm not sure what you meant there with bishop c4. If you're asking if the piano is better than the Ruy Lopez, I don't know which one is better. Ruy Lopez is most popular, but it's been played so much and it's so much exhausted at the highest level that even the top players on the planet, the super GMs, they've switched over to a lot of Italian games just to get something fresh from it. So yeah. Yes, definitely, Earl. That's definitely the idea. So white is playing for this long-term advantage if you look at the pawn structure, and that's a good assessment. Oh, okay, you mean bishop c4 after a6. Okay, so I don't think that is a good idea, because then you might as well have played bishop c4 before bishop b5, because you're giving a free move to black with a6. The bishop on a4, we'll see later on, applies a lot of pressure still, and black will probably be forced to play b5, and then that pawn on b5 will become a weakness. But we'll check it out in a moment. It's possible to play bishop c4, but why not play bishop c4 immediately then and not give black that extra a6 move? So yeah, so the idea here, like Earl said, if you exchange all pieces, let's imagine all of white's pieces are exchanged for black's pieces, and we're setting in a king pawn endgame. In this king pawn endgame, white has excellent chances of winning. He has excellent chances of winning because if you consider the king pawn endgame, you must always think, where are you going to create your passed pawn? And on the left hand side, 3 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, black is going to find it difficult to utilize these double pawns. So these 4 against 3, it's not going to be so easy to create a passed pawn, because these double pawns are in each other's way, and these three can actually block those four. But on the other side, you have 4 versus 3, and that's a real opportunity for white to create a passed pawn. So one way or another in a king pawn endgame, white will be able to create a passed pawn, and that gives him very high chances of winning the game. So white always has this extra benefit of swapping off, and trying to reach a king pawn endgame, which is a serious threat or a serious advantage if he can achieve it. So that's the motivation behind this line. Of course, he must still get to that point where he can swap off everything. The bishop pair, on the other hand, can be quite menacing. So if black manages to open up the position a bit more and utilize the bishops, it could be a tough one for white. So yeah, that's the whole idea of the exchange variation. So just to answer Earl over there with bishop c4, that's possible, but then I guess you could have just played bishop c4 immediately and not give black that free extra a6 move. Okay, so bishop b5, a6, bishop a4. So that's why we don't capture the knight there nowadays, and we go back. And black is more than welcome to chase immediately if he wants to. We'll just drop back, and the bishop is on the same diagonal. He is safer on b3, he's protected, but black seems very aggressive. Yes, the martial attack is something that that we definitely need to watch out for. I've got some recommendations for that, so stay tuned. Martial attack definitely popular for the strongest players, and it's not refuted at all, so definitely something you must keep in mind. And then the other thing is these pawns over here. Why is it not changing color now? There we go. Those pawns over there could end up being a nice target for white with an eventual a4. So might not be so bad that white allowed that over there. He got his bishop on a safe square, and he's got some targets late on where he can even free up his rook. So that's why black doesn't usually go b5 immediately. He goes knight f6. And yeah, normal classical let's say less experienced players will probably just play knight c3, protect the pawn. But this is the beauty of the Ruy Lopez main line. You just castle, the pawn is hanging, but yeah, there's some danger in capturing that pawn. I must say there's another nice way of playing this, that is d3. Slightly slower, but very nice. It can also avoid some dangerous lines for black, like the martial attack that Isvan was mentioning a while ago. I've utilized this line. I actually saw it from Magnus Carlsen, and lots of people have used it. In fact, there's a very nice game that I saw live a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, at the Capablanca Festival. The top seed of the event, I was lucky enough to play in the top section with a couple of grandmasters and a couple of IMs and lots of strong players. And the top seed of the event was a grandmaster from I'm not sure now which country. He stays in Russia, but I think Uzbekistan or somewhere around there. But he is residing in Russia, and that time he had a rating of 2,600, and he won the event quite nicely. But he played this in round 1 against another GM from India, Grandmaster Sriram. And if you want to check out that game, that's a brilliant game. I'm not sure now, is it 2017, 2016? Go check it out. Just filter. Did I give the name now? Faruk Amonatov. That's the top seed, the player that won the event. Faruk Amonatov, Grandmaster 2600. He played with the white pieces around 1 Capablanca Festival versus GM Sriram. and he played this line, which was a very, very nice game. Like I said, I wasn't live. I was actually playing right next to him. I was playing Ben Hercules in round one, and I was just peeking at their game the whole time, and this guy was whipping out the moves. Did you watch out for? Okay, did you not defeat 3 GMs in a row? No, I've never achieved that amazing feat. Now, only at the last Olympiad I beat 2 Grandmasters in the same tournament, not in a row though, because they were like, I think I don't know if I played 11 rounds. No, I played 9 rounds, and in those 9 rounds I beat 2 Grandmasters. So yeah, no, beating 3 in a row would be exceptional. So yeah, but check out this game. Maybe I can even show it to you guys later on if nobody has questions for me. Thank you very much. So D3, very nice option because there's some real threats later on. You can actually capture here and threaten to take over there. So we can have a look at that maybe after the main line. So let's see. Maybe at the end of, closer to the end, I'll show you guys that game if we're not too busy. So, okay, let's see, knight f6, so black played knight f6, attacking the pawn, and castling is the main line. And black then plays bishop to e7, continuing his development. He has other options, for instance, b5 is another one, and then bishop c5. I think it's called the Archangel defense here for black, a bit more aggressive. And you get guys like I am Makoto playing this. We had him on the show last week, and I will be uploading that lecture on YouTube very soon. I think this weekend it will already be up. But yeah, slightly more attacking for black, and we can also have a look at that. But for now, let's look at bishop e7, and we need to also talk about this knight takes pawn. So knight takes pawn, what does white do after knight takes pawn? So white can easily get his pawn back by playing a rook e1, and this rook is aiming down there, and the e5 pawn is very soft. So after rook e1, yeah, black can almost do anything. Black can bounce back, maybe knight c5 even. And after knight takes e5, I hope I'm not showing you guys nonsense here. And after bishop e7, stopping the discovered attack, this bishop is still hanging by the knight. And after something like, I don't know what white wants to do, knight takes. There's not really any threats going on in the position. So even if he does this, we take the bishop and we castle, and white didn't really get much from the position. Black can actually even take here if he wants to. And then go there, maybe follow up with b6 or bishop f6. And black has got the bishop pair, so you should actually want to, in fact you should prefer black here in this position. Even though the knight might have some interesting squares, so it's probably equal. But this is definitely not what white wants from the Ruy Lopez. So after knight takes e4, the main move is actually pawn to d4. So if you're a true Ruy Lopez player, this should be one of the first things that you learn. Pawn to d4. And I've got an interesting story here for you when it comes to this line. So I like to recall games and tell you about my experiences. And I had a game many years ago. I'll never forget this game. I think it was played at the SA Open, and I was a lot younger, probably 18, 19 years old. And I didn't know the ins and outs of this. All I knew was d4, and I get my pawn back. And I was playing a very nice chap, older than me, of course, and very soft spoken and quiet, and all I knew is he is definitely a good chess player. I didn't know him that well. After this game, I knew him even better, and it's unfortunate that he actually passed away. So this person I'm talking about that I played in this line was Franz. What's his surname now? Anybody can help me out? Franz that passed away. I think he played for Belleville Chess Club. But a very good player, and I played him in this. And let me show you guys what happened in that game. So after d4, I played d4. And then my opponent, I think, played... Did he play b? No, he didn't play b5. He played pawn takes pawn, which looks very, very dangerous. And after pawn takes pawn, I played the rook to e1, of course, punning the knight. And then pawn to d5 was played, protecting the knight. So black is 2 pawns up for the moment, but there's a lot of dangers lurking. And of course I leaped forward and played knight takes d4 with a double threat. First of all, I'm knocking this guy. He's pinned, so I've got a nasty threat going over there, double attack on the knight that's pinned. And with this pin on the other knight, I'm actually threatening pawn to f3. So I'm threatening to win that knight as well. So I'm a pawn down, but I've got lots of threats. And yeah, so I was kind of happy, not thinking too much in the opening. And then my opponent played bishop to d6. And things looked a bit off. I wasn't sure what's happening here, because I've got choices now. And I can't actually remember what I played here. What did I play? I think I probably played knight takes c6. Which looks quite nice. I'm attacking the queen. It's a discovered attack waiting. Isvan, you're saying bishop takes knight. That looks also reasonable, but I kind of want to get the double attack going after the knight takes, because this, I'm winning a pawn, but I mean there's nothing else that the knight is doing. The knight is only very deep into black's position, and black can continue with his attack quite nicely over there. So I want him to take with the pawn and then get this nice double attack there on the king and the bishop. But I kind of had a feeling what was happening, but I couldn't stop it really. It was just coming. So after knight takes c6, I think my opponent now whipped out something. If I'm correct in this position. My opponent now whipped out bishop takes h2. And now it sank in. Oh my word. What is happening? So now I started thinking, and I remember the surname now, Frans Vergeest. Frans Vergeest. So yeah. So yeah, after bishop takes h2, if I capture, then black comes in, and black already has an automatic draw if he wants to draw. That is if he wants to draw. He can also play for one as well. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe castle, I don't know. Bishop h3 also looks tempting, but probably black can secure a draw. Of course, I was higher rated at that point, and young and enthusiastic, so I played King F1. But after something like Queen H4, I don't know if it was Queen H4, he managed to castle and and things did not work out well for me pretty soon. So yeah, that was a painful loss at the S Open. And I actually fondly remember that I played him again a couple of years later at the S Open, and I managed to get a win against him in the Namzo Indians. So yeah, fun memories playing against France. I think my last game against him was at the Western Province League maybe 5-6 years ago, and we actually drew that game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So anyway, coming back, after pawn takes pawn, after pawn takes pawn, rook e1, d5. I discovered that it's not so straightforward here for white, and probably the best move here for white is bishop to g5. Bishop to g5 is a nice move, and it puts black in a slight predicament of what to block with. Bishop e7 of course looks very natural, but after captures, then the knight is still pinned, so queen takes is probably what you do, but I think king takes is also an option. But after queen takes and then knight takes, you get one of your pawns back. There's a threat there as well, there's a threat there as well. So I think white has more than enough compensation for the pawn here, and quite a nice game. F6 of course is another move, but then I think you just capture on d4 with similar things happening in the game. So that's what you need to know about that. You can check it out with the engine. I haven't looked at it in a long time. All I know it's good for white. So yeah, so that's why after d4 it's possible for black to capture the pawn, which is called the open Ruy Lopez. But after d4 black should play b5. After bishop b3, d5. I think you can find some Victor Korchnoi games in that for black. So, and then white captures d takes e, hitting the pawn on d5. And then black plays bishop e6, and there were, I think, there were 1 or 2 games in the Kasparov Anand World Championship match. And Kasparov whipped out the monster novelty at some point. Yeah, there's lots of moves here. I think knight bd2 is the main line. I don't know if it's a main line anymore, but after knights, is it knight c5 or something? I think knight c5. No, it's not knight c5. Let's check. Knight c5, c3. d4, yeah, I think this is the line, and then this ingenious move got played a couple of times. It's still theory. The knight is hanging, but after queen takes, then we have this move queen f3, skewering the knight on the rook there, and after long castle, which is the main line, then bishop takes, queen takes, and some interesting play. But I don't know if this happened in the games. I think maybe one game went like this. But very, very complicated stuff, so you should know your stuff here for white as well. That's one setup that black can go bishop c5 or bishop e7. Super complicated stuff. If white knows his stuff, probably white. I like white here. There's some famous style game as well in this variation, but also something you need to know if you're planning on playing the Ruy Lopez. Could be interesting if you play it from the black side as well. So yeah, so knight takes e4 is a possibility, but of course main line is bishop e7. Then we just in time to play rook e1. Black can play pawn to b5, bishop b3. And it's starting to shape up. And now black has 2 options. In the olden days, this was just the main line with d6. And then white can go for... Okay, something that you also need to remember. for white is, as soon as black plays d6, then the e5 pawn is protected enough. So now black is actually threatening knight a5, trying to get your juicy Ruy Lopez bishop. So usually after d6 you must make a plan for the bishop to get some air. So c3 is one of the main moves. And of course now knight a5 you can just drop back. Yeah, so there's a couple of interesting things there, yeah, that you need to know. Is a Karpov queen e2 move still played instead of rook e1? Oh, did Karpov play that? I don't know if Karpov played it. But yeah, queen e2 is still played instead of rook e1. If we go back, I don't know if it's before or after castle. I think queen e2 here. Or is it castling, bishop e7, and then queen e2? I'm not sure. One of the two. Probably queen e2 here. It would be interesting to check if Karpov played this. But okay, I don't know who played it. But I think it's called the Worrell attack. And this also has some sting in it. So also a cool line. One top player from South Africa that I know likes this line is a very tactical guy, Nicholas van der Nat, very strong chess player, and he also I've seen him play this quite a couple of times, queen e2. So if you want to check out some games, maybe from local players, check out van der Nat's games in this. I know there's some tricks and stuff over here where if you go, let's say black goes b5 early and bishop b3, and d6 could already be a problem, because after something like a4, and if you go b4, then bishop takes f7, king takes, and queen c4 stuff. The queen can end up on c4, and there can be some issues over there. So, and main idea is to castle and play c3 and rook d1 and d4. Also interesting king of turn. I don't know too much about that variation though. So rook e1, b5, bishop b3, and d6. The other main branch is, of course, good evening, Kwahi, welcome to the show. So castling is, of course, the other big branch. And to the guys that are just tuning in, questions, the floor is open for opening questions. I'm just discussing Ruy Lopez here because nobody seems to want to ask me any opening questions this evening. Yeah, let's continue. So castling is the other main branch we'll have a good look at as well, because it's maybe nowadays even the most popular. But just to show you a pawn to d6, c3. Of course, we don't want to get our bishop trapped, so c3, and then castling. Now maybe to a youngster, you might be tempted to go bishop g4, and it looks very nice, but it's actually a positional mistake. So white hasn't played pawn to d4 yet, so white is obviously planning on playing d4, but in this situation d4 is the stinger is taken out of d4 because the knight is pinned and the d4 square cannot be protected by the knight anymore. So in this case we can first just play d3, and we've got a nice straightforward plan to evict that bishop from the spin, and we'll see it's very nice, neat, and easy to execute. So let's assume black short castles. Then we can go knight bd2. It depends, you can even play h3 immediately. Let's say black goes, I don't know, let's say black goes h6. Then we can go h3 and chase the bishop. Of course, it would just be silly for black to give up his bishop right now. Bishop takes knight. If black drops back somewhere, then he also didn't achieve what he wanted with that pin over there. So then you basically scored a free move with h3. You can continue knight f1, knight g3, and so on, and even still play d4. So let's say black is stubborn and he keeps his pin over there. Then we simply go knight to f1, and the knight is going here next, chasing the bishop. and there's nothing really that black can do about it. Let's say queen d7 or rook e8 or something. Knight g3, and this bishop needs to now decide his fate. Is he gonna swap off and abandon black's light squares? All these light squares are there for the taking. This bishop over here is a monster, and the knight is already eyeing that f5 square. Not good long term for black. Or is he gonna drop back and condemn himself to a very passive position? That doesn't look nice. The bishop is looking at a hard rock on e4, and after bishop g6, white also has the extra plan of going knight to h4, knocking the bishop yet again, and going knight f5. And yeah, this is a very difficult knight to look at from the black's point of view. You can even follow it up with queen f3, and it's just a dream position for white, getting very nice squares for his knights so early on. So that would be a mistake. Black shouldn't pin the knight as quickly as he can. Maybe a better version of that, another small story for you guys, is that if black wants to do that pin, he should maybe consider playing d6 here. I played a game many years ago at the Mackie Memorial for the local Cape Town guys. I don't know if you guys can still remember the Mackie Memorial. Okay, I didn't play in a lot of them, but of the older generation, you guys will surely know the Mackie Memorial. And all that I know is when I got to Cape Town, this was one of the biggest tournaments, close to end of the year. And I played it a couple of times. And this year, actually, I played Kenny Solomon in one of the rounds, maybe round 3 or so. One of the earlier rounds, round 3-ish. I was still young, maybe my rating was around 2000. And yeah, I think this was our game. And yeah, something like c3, bishop g4. And I think I made a mistake to play h3. Because after bishop h5, something like d4 is not possible. Let's say d3. Black can go something like rook g8 and g5. Something like this happened. I don't know if it does exactly happen, but and he could play queen d7 and long castle. I believe he long castle, if my memory serves me correct. So this is a hectic game, and this is not too bad for black. And that was my game against Kenny Solomon. We actually eventually drew that game, and I managed to win the Mackie that time above him in that tournament, which was also a nice one for me. I don't know if we ended up on the same score or what, but my tiebreak was best, and I actually won that tournament. So what should white do? I think you shouldn't play h3 before black has castled. I think you can just continue with d3 and kind of check out what black is up to. If he castles, yeah, sure, then you can go h3. But if black hasn't castled, I would recommend first go knight b2, go knight f1, look at what he's up to. And of course, black only has so many waiting moves. If you see he does some weird business, then you know you shouldn't play h3, because h3 only allows black to open up the g file much easier. On the other hand, you can also start with your queenside play if you have to. So yeah, that's a nice story there as well about the bishop c4 pin. And so okay, so coming back to this with d6, c3, so it's not good to pin. So black castles, and yeah, before white goes d5, d4, I think h3 is the main line. d4 is also possible. h3 is the main line. This is classical stuff. d4 is possible, very much so. I think Watu has also adopted this a couple of times. I remember a game that he played at the SA closed maybe 4 or 5 years ago against Mohammed Bahawaddin, first round of the SA closed. Again, I was looking at his board, I was next to him, and yeah, Mo, of course, E5 player and aggressive player as well, so he was. I think it was a different move order. I think you can get this move order from castling, and then D4, D6, and then C3, something like this. But coming back to this, D4 is possible, but this does allow the pin now, and White needs to. What does White do? White can push, but I think Bishop E3 is the main line. Yeah, there's two ways of playing it. I think what to actually play D5 here, and after Knight A5, Bishop C2, C6. White can capture over here, and then Black goes Queen C7. I think there's a pawn sack line, which I think what to went forward, Knight BD2 or something. I don't know. H3. Bishop goes back. Then you take something interesting like this. The bishop goes to, yeah, I think this is the pawn sack line. Well, after Black gives up the bishop for the knight, and Black can, this d5 pawn sometimes can drop. But White gets some nice play with the two bishops. And the light square is of course a danger here for Black, since he gave up his light square bishop. So interesting stuff, but I think more reliable maybe is h3, stopping the pin. And here is an abundance of options for Black, and maybe that's the reason why I like this for White and for Black. It's interesting for Black, very interesting. Top players from SA that play this: Watu of course plays e5 for Black. Mohammed Bahawaddin also plays e5 for Black. Kenny Solomon, our local grandmaster, he also plays a lot of e5s. So lots and lots of e5 players, and I think Ray Lopez for Black is quite interesting. Lots of options. You've got the main line Chigorin with knight a5, and then c5, and White goes d4. I think there is a game between Fabiano Caruana and Watu Kobese in this line. Caruana playing with the white pieces, and of course you get Caruana against Kenny at the World Cup as well in the Ray Lopez also. And so yeah, that's a Chigorin variation. You have the Zaitsev variation. Super sharp games can come from this. First thing that comes to mind is the Karpov-Kasparov World Championship matches, where Kasparov was playing this for White, and lots of exciting fireworks that happened in that matchup. After d4, but I think Black goes rook e8 or h6, knight bd2, rook e8, and yeah, Black is eyeing this e4 pawn, so White must just watch out for that. Something like this. Am I missing something here? Okay, a lot of times Black goes g6 and puts his bishop in front of his king. I'm just thinking here, rook e8 might be bishop f8. Now White can't play knight f1 because Black will capture over there, and there's pressure on the pawn. Oopsie. So White can do something like a4, I believe. a4 was that what Kasparov played. I think there's a3 as well, and different moves here. h6, bishop c2, and then pawn takes pawn. Yeah, there were some legendary games in this. Knight b4 and bishop b1. So this looked very odd to me as a youngster with the bishops at the back. And the beauty of it all is, after all of this, after 97, Kasparov came with this rook a3 business. Beautiful stuff. And the rook is actually eyeing to go to e3. Wow. And sometimes the knight goes to h2. And the rook can even swing over to g3. So, and these bishops are just lined up over here. They are ready to burst into the sea. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. So after h3, we've got the Chigorin, we've got the Zaitsev variation, and then we've got this interesting move, knight to b8. Might look crazy. We got the world champion playing this, Magnus Carlsen. I think Boris Spassky played it. One of our African heroes from Egypt, Bassem Amin, African #1. He also has a lot of games in this. So I think this variation for black is one of the most solid. Has one of the most solid reputations. And yeah, basically the knight is a bit awkward in front of the c pawn. We saw it in the other variation. We want to play knight d5 and c5. So knight b8 and after d4. Black is just in time to hold his center together. The knight is more naturally placed on d7 there. And now black can go bishop b7. Very natural. So black can later on go c5 as well. You can go rook e8, bishop f8, h6 perhaps if need be. And so on. I think this is called the Breyer variation. So yeah. So very, very nice. Interesting stuff here for black, and all of these things you need to know. And okay, you've got some games from Karpov as well from the white pieces. Lots and lots of top players have played this, so it's lots of games you can check out. So if you want an interesting, complicated game, and if you've noticed something, all of the pieces are still on the board. Not even a single pawn has been swapped off, even in this Breyer variation. No pieces have been exchanged off. Of course, black will refrain from taking here and giving white the whole center, and white doesn't want to just simplify by taking over there. Very, very interesting games that come from this. So it's a huge build up. You keep pieces on the board, so it's not easy for black to just swap off and go for a draw and so on. Okay, so let's see. So that's that, and then maybe we should take a look at a brief look at the martial attack. Okay, so let's see. Bishop b3. So instead of d6, this is a super popular one nowadays and for a long time now. So castle. And you should be very careful. You should tread lightly here for white. And it's very seldom that you hear a line that black is playing is called an attack. Usually it's some King's Indian defense or Sicilian defense. So usually we would call the lines with the white an attack and the lines for black a defense. But this line that black is playing is called the martial attack. So definitely dangerous. And let's just make the music is slightly soft over there. And yeah, so how to identify it? Black has not played d6 yet. That's the first sign, the first clear sign. So black still can't play knight a5 because the pawn will drop on e5. And the whole point is, after white goes c3, then black wants to make it very interesting by playing pawn to d5. So he throws that in there. And the big question is what happens with this e5 pawn, because it seems like white is eyeing it indirectly with the rook as well. Sometime for Petrov, King Ulster says, yes, we can have a look at Petrov definitely. So I think we're coming closer to the end here with Arai Lopez, so you can definitely take a look at the Petrov. Even though I'm not the biggest specialist on the Petrov, but I can give you some general ideas in that opening as well. I think they call it a Russian defense as well. So pawn to d5, and there's an interesting story as well. I don't know the details of it, but They call it a Marshall attack, of course, because Frank Marshall was a famous American chess player many years ago in the times of Capablanca then. So early 1900s. I think Frank was the top player in America at that time, probably. You've got a famous chess club in America called the Frank Marshall Chess Club, and they say that Frank had this line, this gambit, because he's sacrificing a pawn. He had this gambit prepared especially for the famous Jose Raul Capablanca, and he saved it because he wanted to play it against Capablanca, and Capablanca, of course, a phenom, one of the best of his of all time, probably a big protege and a very natural player, and he was considered untouchable, unbeatable at some point during his career. And so Frank finally got to play this against Capablanca, and you can actually search this game. So Capablanca versus Frank Marshall, and Frank actually got into a nice looking position. I'm not sure about the evaluation, but it looked very nice for Black. He got what he wanted, and the strong Capablanca fought his way out of it and actually still won the game. So it's a pity for Frank, but he did show us a very nice idea, and up to now people have used this. I'll show you a bit about the history of the Marshall attack, what I know, of course. So okay, d5. Now White now has to make a main decision here. Is he gonna try to just keep it solid, or in fact I don't know if d3 is even possible, because black could capture here, capture there. Then probably you have to play bishop takes because e4 is hanging. So this would be basically an admission of not having any advantage out of the opening for White. Another interesting move is d4. I think objectively probably equal, but practically speaking, if your opponent hasn't seen this, you can have a look at pawn to d4. Nice surprise weapon perhaps. But of course the main question is what happens after pawn takes, and Frank just captured here against Capablanca, and now Capablanca of course accepted the pawn. Knight takes, rook takes. So the problem for White is, first of all, he's a bit underdeveloped here. His pieces are stuck in the corner, and this pawn structure is not allowing for the knight to come out nicely. And Frank in this position played knight back because his knight was hanging on d5. And what did he get now for this pawn that he has sacrificed? He's even moving backwards. Well, he removed this knight on f3, by the way, which is a key defender of the White king. So the White king doesn't have any minor pieces defending his king. The rook on e5 is a target, so most likely Black is gonna go bishop d6 and knock the rook and eye that square over there. So after something like d4, I think that was played in the game. Bishop d6, rook went back, and something like this, knight to g4, and it looks very, very dangerous. It almost looks like that game I had against Vergees. The queen is ready to jump out, the pawn is already under fire, and this bishop can aim down here or go this way and aim down there. So very, very dangerous stuff. And yeah, the knight is actually eyeing f2 as well, so you don't want to face this if you haven't seen it before, especially if you're playing White. You don't want to be defending immediately. So after something like h3, when queen h4 came, and now White doesn't want to capture over there because it's gonna end up bad for him. Maybe something like this. What can we do here? Is there something nice that we probably just check here, check over there, f3, check over there. The king is running out here. I don't even know is this the right way of doing it. Maybe check over there. The rook has to go over here. Maybe a rook there. I don't know. I'm surely there's something better that I'm missing here. I could maybe play. We could perhaps play bishop takes g4 first. So it's attacking the queen and then threatening check and mate. So it's super dangerous. So I don't think Capablanca took over there. I think Capablanca played something like queen f3. Then after knight takes f2. Now if you play queen takes, then bishop g3. Yeah, so I don't know the rest of the game. I can't remember it now. But yeah, as you can see, it's a complete headache for white. So in the meantime, they've discovered ways of defending here with computer analysis and so on. Capablanca was strong enough to defend himself here as well. But they have switched over the black side. The people with the black pieces have realized nowadays the modern way of playing the Marshall Gambit is to actually play c6. And after c6, you're protecting your knight, and you're still aiming for bishop d6, and the knight can actually go to f4, and the bishop's still aiming down there, and it's quite menacing still. After d4, bishop d6, rook back, still go queen h4, threatening h3. After g3, you can go queen h3. I think this is like a main line, and you are already planning to play bishop f3. Looks very dangerous. This bishop sitting way over there where he should be standing over there. And white is behind in development, so black only needs one more move, and then the rook a e8 and f5, and black has got lots of compensation for the pawn, and super GMs like Levon Aronian and Peter Swidler, everybody has tried this for black, and there's a lot of draws as well. Thank you to Kiara B05 for following. Welcome to the show. And yeah, so this is definitely something that I try to avoid if I'm playing with the white pieces. I don't want to be defending like this with the white pieces. I prefer attacking with the white pieces, or at least not defending so vigorously. So there's a couple of ways of avoiding this. One of the main ones that I've used in the past is, instead of h3, c3 I mean. Remember, there's no knight a5 because black hasn't played d6 yet. You could play h3 first as an improvement, anticipating the Marshall Gambit. So now if black goes here, then you can capture and capture, and something like c6, you can go d4, bishop d6, rook back, and here you can already see after queen h4 there's not a threat yet. And with d4 instead of c3, you have extra space for your knight to maybe just try to swap off some pieces faster and so on. Okay, there's still a bit of defending left, still some features that are looking good here for black, but all in all a better version of it. Accepting that the Marshall Gambit is still playable for white, but this is an even better version for white, a bit more comfortable. That's why usually modern players don't play d5 here after h3, they go bishop b7, and then they still hope for this Marshall attack, and it's still very much possible. If c3, then d5 is coming again, so it's very menacing, this Marshall Gambit, because after this there's lots and lots of compensation for black. I think black goes bishop f6 here even, and even this is still uncountable for white. So that's why after bishop b7, white usually goes d3. So you settle for a slower variation, and then usually black goes d6. You can still, I've even seen some games where black still does d5, and this. There's lots and lots of games in this, so check it out. There's some lines where white goes a4 early just to swap off some more pieces. White can go knight d2, knight c3 is possible. Yeah, interesting game. Still not the type of flavor that you exactly want if you don't want to defend for white. but at least you are pawn up and it's a bit more comfortable. Or you can decide there's even some grandmasters that don't accept the pawn and simply go knight bd2. More positional. Now not knight bd2, sorry, takes and then knight bd2. This could be interesting as well. So yeah, that's one way of playing it. Another way that I can tell you is, I think Gary also recommended, Gary Kasparov, a4 immediately here is another anti-martial type of move. And then black needs to decide what is he going to do here. Is he going to push? He of course doesn't want to capture and put this bishop back on that diagonal. So push, I think, is one of the main moves. And bishop b7 is another one. And you could play d3 and get a similar version, of course, of what I just showed you. After push, white can even do something like d4 here, I think. And then d6 and captures and plays some positional game. This is actually very interesting because of this b4 pawn here. The square c4 is available for your piece. You can go queen e2, h3, bishop c4, knight b3, and so on. Very interesting stuff. And of course d4 is the other anti-martial move that I showed you earlier. Pawn takes pawn isn't that good because you have this e5 push, so then you are on the attack, so that's why black should go here. But then the spin is coming up. If h3, then black captures and you have nothing. In fact, you might just drop a piece over there. So that's why c3 is kind of mandatory, and then you get into that other line that I mentioned before. So you have to pick your option that you want, but lots and lots of interesting play, and definitely watch out for this castle without d6. You have to kind of pick your anti-martial system, or you can accept the martial, one of the two. So I think that is basically it for now for the Ruy Lopez. Okay, Kiara, you mean c4 instead of c3 in this position? Do you mean over there? Because in this case, c4 doesn't look nice. The reason being that look, c3, our main goal is to establish another pawn in the center. So after castle d4, h3, and then d4. If black captures the d4 pawn, we recapture with our c3 pawn, and we've got this beautiful center. So in a sense, we are supporting our center. But if you play c4 here, then that plan is not going to work. Your d4 square is too weak. And then secondly, okay, I guess c4 is not bad because I was thinking about the pawn structure. You kind of messing up your pawn structure, but black also gets a weak pawn. It's just yeah, okay, I think maybe black won't capture over there. Maybe black can even leave it, or he can even push. Maybe pushing is an interesting idea over there. But the point is, you'll never get, let's say, d4 capture, something like this. Maybe black can go bishop b7. It's already looking a bit awkward here for this guy. That diagonal is blocked immediately. Okay, we can go bishop c2 at some point, but not the idea in the Ruy Lopez that we're looking for. I think we can go bishop b7, and black should be fine here. Knight e7, bishop f6 is a possibility. c4, interesting idea, but yeah, I don't think in this case c4 is going. We actually want to build up a nice big center. I hope that answers your question, Kiara. Yes, of course, c3. The main point here is, let's say black goes bishop b7. The main point is to get in d4, and if black captures, we recapture with a pawn, and now we've got this beautiful center protected by white's pieces, and we've got full control of these vital squares in the middle. So those pawns are doing a very good job. So that's what we want to establish. We want to get those 2 pawns in the middle, and c3 does the job. If we just go d4 immediately, then that doesn't help us because you can't recapture with the pawn. So you lose a bit of control. Okay guys, so now I think that's it for the Ruy Lopez. We can briefly take a look at the Petrov that I think King Oster was talking about. So the Petrov defense starts off with knight f6. So black is kind of saying, okay, you can take my pawn, but I'll take your pawn. So black is from the get-go being a bit stubborn, and yeah, many ways to play against it. Main line is of course to accept the pawn, and I think there's a famous game, okay, not so famous, but Anand lost a quick game in the Petrov. Fishy Anand lost a very quick game in the Petrov where he captured here at some point and then fell into some trap. So the most basic trap that you shouldn't fall for is after knight takes e4, and I mean this for black, is after knight takes e4, then white can play queen e2, and there are issues. So if black goes back, we've got a discovered attack on the king. And so we can move the knight for free anywhere we want to, and it will be check. So knight c6 will be the best move on the board, giving check. And we are also eyeing the queen. The queen can't even block because the knight is eyeing that square as well. So after black stops the check, we win the queen. So one of the oldest traps in the book. Black can try to protect his knight, but we just go d3. And he's got similar issues. Black can of course, okay, after d5, d3, he can of course say, okay, I'm gonna attack your knight, and if we move our knight back, then he can move his knight back, but that's not what we want. But we can simply capture the knight, and he's forced to capture over there, and then we've got this nice move, pawn takes pawn, pinning the queen, so he cannot capture this pawn. So after a swap, we are just a clear pawn up in the endgame. So that's definitely not what black wants. So black usually plays d6, and after you drop back, then he gets his pawn. So now queen e2 doesn't make a big impression here because of queen e7, then everything is fine for black. So usually mainline, white goes d4, black goes d5, and it seems a bit odd because black has got this, seems like white allowed this knight to stand here nicely, because white could have played d3 himself, and this would be a symmetrical position. Nothing fancy about it, still playable. But white tries to expose this knight by leaving it there and afterwards attacking it. Bishop d3, and there's many moves here. Bishop e7, I think knight c6 and so on. And then afterwards white tries to knock the knight, and sometimes the knight must go back. You can even play c4 trying to disrupt the protection of the knight, and you get some interesting lines in like this. There might be some Queen's Gambit features in there with the isolated pawn. Very interesting stuff. Welcome Babiki, welcome to the show. And yeah, I have, for the viewers out there, Babiki, for you and everybody else out there, yeah, I've actually been uploading some new stuff onto YouTube. That's why the sign is over there. It's not just for looking pretty. You guys should check out my YouTube channel. Just go onto YouTube, search Kelvin Klaasen Chess, and yeah, check out my latest uploads. There's everything, lots and lots of previous stuff since I started streaming. My first ever stream is there as well. How to be the Grandmaster lecture series is on there, and we had a lecture series from I Am Makoto last Saturday. I'm gonna upload that this weekend as well. And of course, I'm gonna upload tonight's Friday opening night. there as well. So if you missed it, you can go onto YouTube and go check it out. And also just give a subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely for free. So yeah, then you can stay up to date with things if you miss out. Of course, the previous Friday openings night stuff. I think this is number 4 we're having. So it's week number 4. All of the previous ones are on YouTube already. So go check it out. The followers challenge day is also on there. So yeah. So Terry Frying he's giving us a game here. Zapata Anand E4 E5 knight. Let's quickly check that out. Thanks Terry Frying. Let's quick check that out for interest sake. So E4 E5 knight F3 knight F6 knight takes E5 D6 knight back knight takes E4, and Anand was playing with the black pieces here against Grandmaster Zapata. I'm assuming Zapata was a Grandmaster. And then after knight takes E5 D6 knight takes E4 knight C3. This is another line that I was gonna show you guys. And then Anand played a bad move here. Now the main line for black is to capture over there, but Anand decided to play bishop f5 in this game, which they give a double question mark, a big blunder. And the reason for that is queen e2, and Anand resigned over here. So I remember Anand still explaining himself in some interview or on Chess Base or something like that. I think on his DVD, on his career, he explained that yeah, he could have played on here if he wanted to, throw out lots of moves and survive for a long time, and make it not look so bad. But yeah, he just thought, okay, he played a bad move, he's probably gonna lose, why still stall on the inevitable? So he just wanted to get out of the playing hall as quickly as possible, and just take his loss and then move forward. I think he said there was some analysis that he was trying to remember, so he didn't think really. That's a problem sometimes if you try and recall something and you might make a mistake where it's not the same position. So what's the issue here? The knight is hanging, and if black, yeah, so if d5, then we just pick up the piece for free. And I think he was intending queen e7, but after queen e7 there's a very nice move here, which is knight to d5. After knight e5, the queen needs to protect c7 as well. So if the queen moves up or down to keep an eye on her knight, then that drops. So if the queen goes somewhere like, I don't know, b7 or something, then we pick up the knight again. So that was the issue. So a tough one there for Anand. He lost the game like this. After how many moves after queen e2? That was 6 moves. And he became a 5-time world champion. So yeah, it can happen to the best of us. Okay, so anyway, so this is the main line. I'm not too familiar with it, but that's the idea of it. Sometimes you play knight c3, sometimes knight d2 in some lines, sometimes you play knight c3 here as well. But this line over here is also, I would say, one of the other main tries. After knight takes, they go d takes. This was very popular a couple of years ago at the highest level. And then the plan is for white simply to go bishop f4 or bishop e3, one of the two, and simply go queen d2 and long castle next. Because you have this extra pawn over here, these double pawns are actually protecting the king nicely. And sorry, then you can feel free to go ahead and attack. So lots and lots of games in this. I think black can also long castle. Something like, I don't know, bishop e6 and queen d7. There's some games in this as well, I believe. And also interesting, but with these double pawns, you don't have a huge presence in the center, and you have to make of it what you want. And of course, another option against the Petrov, you could play knight c3. But okay, now you're playing a 4 knights, which isn't too bad. I've seen guys like Sahaj Grover play this for white and use it very effectively. So lots and lots of play here as well. But it's not for everybody, of course. The symmetry. I think black has this knight d4 move, if I'm not incorrect here. Bishop c5 and so on. I actually don't know the theory at all here. Knight d4, and then you need to decide. You can capture, but then it fizzles out a bit here. You can play bishop a4. Black can go very aggressive here because the pawn is hanging on e5 and it's a complete jungle. So yeah, very complicated. You need to know your stuff there as well. And of course, oh yeah, I think I saw Magnus play this. Pawn to d4 is also another option. Interesting stuff, but it can also turn into some symmetrical type of position. If black goes pawn takes, then e5, knight e4, queen takes, e5, and white should actually capture over there. And was playing. Uh, let's try to find it. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna try to find that game that I was talking about early on. in Johannesburg. Yeah, this was a Capablanca festival. So this was round one in the IM norm section. Uh, let's just, I just want to close this other thing that's in my way. What is in my way over here? I think it might be the database. There we go. Okay. So Farouk Amanatov 2632 was his rating over there, and Sriram from India, also a grandmaster, 2396 over there. So this was round one. I was sitting to the right of them. I was playing against Ben Hercules, some Catalan game, got a nice advantage. I managed to stuff it up and draw against Ben. Ben, of course, super resilient and also a huge talent in SHS. I was interested for a moment. My game was tense, but every once in a while, I would look to the left, and it was amazing, first of all, how this Grandmaster Amanatov was whipping out the moves and getting up from the board and walking around, and just he was oozing with confidence, playing fast, and the line that he's playing didn't really match that to me. For a moment, for a while there, with this D3 line in the Rai Lopez. So let me show you what I mean. But it was clear that his preparation was brilliant. So knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, back. This is what we were talking about today. Bishop b7 and d3. Right. So pawn to d3, d6. Of course, there's a threat now. Let's say if black castles, we could actually capture the knight here, and then everything is covered. So these type of moves, we just drop back. So that's actually a threat. So that's why black goes d6 over there. Black decides not to go b5. It's his choice over there. This is also very much playable. And then white went c3. Just building up a typical Rai Lopez structure. Of course, white wants to go knight d2, knight f1, knight g3. Castle, rook to e1. Black goes rook e8. Knight bd2. And notice that white has now avoided the Marshall Gambit. So some d5 here wouldn't be so powerful because we can take on e5, and we're already closer with the development that d3 is already played and the bishop is open. So we're cutting out a lot of theory. So knight bd2 was played, bishop to f8. So black is also just setting up his pieces the way you want to. Knight to f1, pawn to h6, and then knight to g3. So white has basically done all that he needs to do. He's done the famous Rai Lopez knight maneuver over there, getting his pieces ready for the king side. And black finally played b5. And yeah, white went bishop to c2. Bishop usually goes to b3, but now that he has the option, he goes to c2. So he's kind of saying, okay, I'm not going to allow you to get knight a5 with tempo. Now if knight a5 comes, there's no bishop that's hanging or being attacked, so we can just go b4. So knight a5 doesn't make sense. Other lines are possible. But black now decides, okay, so you're not being very aggressive. You haven't played d4, so I'm gonna play d5 myself. So in Marshall Gambit style. So that's what black does, and it's very much playable. But there are some things that loosen up in this position, and black should be very careful. And black, being a grandmaster himself, experienced some difficulties. So, and like I said, I was still amazed by the speed here of the player with the white pieces. So he captured on d5, he gives up his center, and black plays queen takes. Maybe logical, because you want to protect your center. Knight takes is also possible, I believe. It is possible, but maybe some d4 is in the air, and then you have to take queen takes. Looks a bit awkward. I think it is possible, but queen takes, why not queen takes? And yeah, Amanatov finds a nice move. I don't know how deep his opening preparation was, but yeah, he plays d4 very confidently. Very nice move. So he's all of a sudden, you can see that the white's pieces are ready for action. If you look at the two knights and the two bishops, These guys, are super active. So white's pieces are ready for action, even though the bishops haven't moved, the c1 bishop haven't moved, they're attacking pieces. Okay, so Kwaggie, can we look at Sicilian French variation where black plays e6, c5 and a6? Yeah, I believe they call it the Sicilian Khan. So yeah, we can definitely take a look at that. But I think, unfortunately, it won't happen tonight. If you accept my apologies, because I think it's a bit late now and we were basically ending off with this game right now. I'm showing everyone a game that from the Ruy Lopez. So if you would join me next week, and just say hi to me first time in our next week lecture, then I would be more than happy to start with that Sicilian for you, because it's also it's also a Sicilian I like. So I would very much like to do this with you. So yeah, sorry about that, Kwaggie, but this is the end of close to the end of the lecture and of our discussion basically. But yeah, and I'm basically just showing a last game here for everybody. So done with the theory for now. I'm just showing a last game here in the Ruy Lopez between Amonatov and Sriram. Okay, I hope that's okay with you, Kwaggie. So white plays d4 and the position suddenly is exploding open. And the rook is protected oh so carefully by the knight on f6. Lines have opened up for the bishops. And black decides, okay, I'm gonna still play fighting chess and I'm gonna go bishop g4. Which makes perfect sense. He's pinning the knight and he wants to maybe give white double pawns as well. And white's center looks like it might be crumbling. So what's happening here? So white plays bishop b3. Bishop goes back to b3 and he puts him on this diagonal, knocking the queen. Queen drops back. I think I hear an alarm going off somewhere. Someone's car alarm is going off somewhere here. So queen d7 was played after bishop b3 and white played h3, just saying I want to get rid of this bishop. He doesn't care about his center crumbling. He wants to get rid of the bishop. So after bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, and black parted with his light squared bishop, which could be very, very dangerous because the light squares, this guy can be a monster on the light squares. And black accepts the challenge. He captures the pawn. And so white is a pawn down for now because this square's pawn is pretty well protected. The rook is also hanging. So yeah, does anybody have a move for me here? What did white play? I don't want to just whip out the moves. Can anybody tell me what did white play in this position? His rook is hanging, he's a pawn down. Does anybody have some attacking skills to display? Thank you, Isvan. That's definitely it. Bishop takes pawn. Very nice aggressive move. Grabbing a pawn and keeping an eye on that knight. Of course, if black captures there, then we get our piece back and simultaneously connecting our rooks. So beautiful move there. Maybe not the most hidden move, but you need to have a nice tactical eye to see it. The bishop takes h6, and now black is in a small predicament here. He doesn't really want to capture there and open up his king like that. I see Kwaggie also said bishop takes h6. Yes, that's a correct move. So black now played knight to a5. So he chases that bishop. And white is obliged to just move it back. He doesn't want to give up his nice bishop. That light squared bishop is very valuable to white because black doesn't have a light square bishop left. The light squares could be very sensitive. And in this case, in this position, black now played d3. And what's the reason for that? I think black wants white to capture the pawn. And then after that, you will capture the bishop. And then the same plan of white capturing over there, black might just win that guy over there. So he's trying to lure the bishop onto that square so that white will lose a piece. And white says, okay, I'll capture the pawn. And black captures his piece. So white needs to get his piece back. Now white has a predicament here. If he captures the knight, then he drops his d3 bishop and the ship is sinking. He's gonna be a piece down. He's a piece down for now. What should white do? So maybe at first glance you might think, okay, this isn't nice for white. But white finds an interesting move here, and surely he calculated this before going into this variation. And he goes pawn to b4. Bishop f5 also very interesting, but now you're kind of blocking your own queen to get the knight this one. So I think that's the problem with that move. So he goes pawn to b4, knocking the knight. So if the knight goes knight c4, then of course we can capture the knight, and then we don't have the problem of the bishop hanging, and we can go there. And remember, black still has the weakened king side, so that doesn't look nice with the knight being able to jump in at some point. So yeah, but I mean, bishop a5 does come into consideration over there. Very natural move, of course. So white plays b4. The knight goes to c4. No, the knight can't go to c4. So black instead goes knight c6. So everything seems protected. But at least now queen takes f6 happened, and the queen is eyeing the knight on c6. So queen takes d3, queen takes c6, and still black is left with that ugly pawn structure. So black now plays bishop g7 in between move to hassle the queen, cover the king a bit more. The bishop is of course aiming down here as well at some stuff. And yeah, who can tell me what did white play here? White to play. I think this was a nice moment. I think this is a nice moment for you guys to find a move for me. White to play. Hi James, welcome to the show. We're at the end of our show, but welcome. We were discussing the Ruy Lopez mainly today, and a bit of Petrov defense, but we are finishing off. I'm showing everybody a game, a Ruy Lopez game, Faruk Amanatov, Grandmaster, 2632 versus Grandmaster Sriram from India at the Capablanca Festival a couple of years ago, 2017 actually. Okay, so Isvan said bishop f5 now. This time it might work. Let's see, bishop f5. So I think, what can black do here? Maybe a worst case scenario, you take over there. Then after taking over here, check. Maybe knight e5 and you knock the bishop and you can go rook d8 perhaps. This bishop is dangerous down that diagonal. I don't think black would be worse over here. Even though black is a pawn down here, maybe that's not bad. I'm only realizing now black is a pawn down. So bishop f5 is a possibility, but I think at least black will have some counterplay, especially with the opposite color bishops. But I think that's actually not a bad way of trying to secure your extra pawn. But there is something better over there. So unfortunately, your bishop f5 won't work today. This one, but yeah, it definitely looks better here. Uh, so Kwahi says queen f5, interesting move, and King Ulster has a move there as well. I'm gonna take a look at it now. So Kwahi says queen f5, maybe threatening to get in there, and that's a possibility. But black can just swap off. The c3 pawn is hanging, and I don't think there's much huge danger here. And yeah, I believe King Ulster has got it. King Ulster has played, gave the move that white played in this position. Knight to h5 was played. Yes, indeed, that must have come as a shock to black in this position. So everything is hanging. White's bishop is hanging, and his queen was being attacked. Imagine the feeling from the black player in this position. After bishop g7 chasing the queen, and white doesn't move back, and he plays knight to h5, threatening mate. Wow. So that's a wonderful move, and like I said, I was happy to be watching this game literally live. And and I mean, if black captures the queen here, then we capture, and we've got a beautiful fork over there, and we regain our queen, and we are a piece up. So that's why I wanted to show you guys this game. The slow d3 line in the Ruy Lopez actually has some sting over there, especially if black wants to overreach himself with d5. If he doesn't overreach with d5, then you get that Ruy Lopez maneuver in knight d2, knight f1, knight g3, and you get your typical setup, and still avoiding your mainline stuff like your martial attack and so on. So after knight h5, black had to play a very sad move, bishop h8, just not to get mated. And then white went very casually back, bishop c2, pieces got swapped off, rook to e8, and after swapping off, simply queen takes h6, and black resigned here with not really any counterplay in this position. Of course, bishop h7 might being the first threat over there. So very nice, powerful game there by Grandmaster Farooq Amunatov. Very nice guy, by the way, as well. Like I said, I played in the same section as him. So the top section, that IM section, have different times than the rest of the sections at that Capablanca festival that usually gets played in Pretoria. So we've got a personal feel or a homely feel amongst the players, where we get to the venue a certain time, different from the rest, and we chatting outside. Some of the guys are smokers, so a lot of them are chilling outside, having a smoke and so on. And this GM top seed 2600 playing in Russia, he was actually quite nice, chatting with us, giving us advice, and yeah, he's quite a nice, one of the nicer grandmasters. Very nice guy. Even after the tournament, he was showing us puzzles and basically just chilling with us after the tournament. So very nice guy, Farooq Amunatov. Also a very strong trainer. He was giving us positions from memory, very nice puzzles and so on. And he absolutely destroyed that field with two other grandmasters. It was Grandmaster Sriram from India and Grandmaster Sahaj Grover, also a super strong player from India. I think Grover came second, but Amunatov crushed the field, and he won the tournament. I think he beat Grover last round, and I think only two people got a draw. I think he completely crushed the field. I was lucky enough to get a draw against him. In fact, I think he was the one that was lucky in that game, because I was actually way better. I was winning against Farooq, and he managed to put me under pressure, and then I decided to bail out with a draw. So it was quite nice drawing against 2600. Being winning, I was actually supposed to win, but the nerves got me over there. I think the other draw he got was against Daniel Barish. So Daniel, of course, also not intimidated by GMs. He also has some good results. He was on my show, How to Beat the Grandmaster, part 3. So yeah, that was a nice example of the Ruy Lopez. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said, like I said, Kwaggy, next week we can have a look at that Sicilian Khan with E6. And if you missed out, if you tuned in late, then you can actually go onto YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel, guys. Just go to YouTube and search Kelvin Klaasen Chess, and you'll find these videos. I've been uploading some latest stuff as well recently, so please do check it out and subscribe as well. It's for free to subscribe. Okay, so Kwaggy has a question here. What's the difference between SA Open and SA Closed? Well, there's a huge difference. Both of them are quite strong, very strong, most of the times. Thanks very much for tuning in, Isvan. It was very nice having you part of the show as well. Thanks for your questions and your input. So just to answer Kwaggy's question there before I sign off, well, the SA Open is basically what it says. It's an open event, so anybody can participate in it from anywhere on the globe. So everybody and anybody who's big in chess in SA usually come and plays. It's one of the biggest open tournament in South Africa. So it's usually the most prize money as well, so that's why the top players come out for that. And yeah, if you want the SA Open, most of the times you've got the best players playing in there, and you need to go through the whole country. I think it's like an 11 round event, so you have to go through the whole country to be an SA Open champion. I have never won the SA Open as of yet. I would love to win the SA Open, so that's still on my to-do list. But yeah, very, very tough to win it. So it's the biggest open event in the country. The SA Closed, on the other hand, is a lot different. There's only 12 players participating in it. They basically use a selection system to choose the top 12 players in the country. And once you have selected the top 12 players in the country, they play a round robin where everybody plays everybody, and then we see who's the best player from this top 12 in the country. So the SA Closed is probably more difficult because every round you play against one of the top players in the country, but both of these tournaments have their difficulties and so on. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to win the SA Closed already. So I've been the SA Closed champion. I think I won it in 2017. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, Barish is the current SA Closed champion. He won it recently. Oh yeah, and my SA Closed, I also won joint with I Am Mabusela. If you guys didn't check that one out. Let's see. Spanish Torture, you are right if one does not keep up. Yes, definitely. So we looked at the Spanish Torture today. What is happening with these this year? Well, last year we had the SA Closed. So, I mean, we're looking at SA Closed probably next year. Hopefully over the board play will come back. SA Open probably not happening. So yeah, as soon as sport continues again, we can get to over the board again. Then we can look forward to some of these events coming again. So yeah, I can't really help you on that one, King Ulster. And yeah, so it's probably on hold until sports are really possible to play again with regulations and everything. Okay, guys. So yeah, if there's no other questions, let's see. King Ulster says, great discussion. Evening, Kelvin. Thanks. Can I post or share your links to Twitch or YouTube? Oh, most definitely. You can share all my details. Please do so. Share it with your club mates and on Facebook, wherever you can. I would love to get more followers, more people to join me, and so I can just share my chess knowledge. So yeah, please do so, King Ulster. Thank you very much for asking. So yeah, thanks guys. Thanks Isvan. Thank you very much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this evening's discussion, shall I say, because sometimes I also don't know too much about it, and we can just share ideas. But I will be uploading this onto YouTube this weekend. So if you missed something or you came in late, you can also check it out over there. The stuff on Twitch usually lasts for a week or two, but then it expires as well. So the best place to check it out is on YouTube. And don't forget, check out, let's actually just show you this thing one last time. Don't forget to check out tomorrow morning 10 a.m. the Queen side. So we've got the Queenside with Robin van Niekerk, host, and she will be interviewing WIM Denise Boa, multiple SA champion, and she's represented the country at multiple Olympiads and the African Championships and World Team events. And she has also written a book um, to help you as a chess coach and as a player. Just it's a psychology book for sports, I believe. So she will be talking about that as well. And yeah, afterwards she'll also be showing a game, one of her best games. A very interesting one over there. So yeah, so don't miss out tomorrow morning 10 a.m. And like I said, feel free to share with everybody you know. That would be very nice to share your knowledge about this channel, my YouTube channel, and also join the CKC team on Lichess. Okay, guys. Aha, all right. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to sign out. I'll see you tomorrow morning for the Queenside. Cheers, cheers, everybody.